This is a really exciting webinar. I've got three very powerful, very unique experts that we brought together to have a conversation about the entrepreneurial mindset in the conscious business space. If you're not a member, you might not realize that we have events 2 or 3 a month and on different topics, and we make them free to non-members as well so that you can get to know us. And next week, we've got 2 competitive photographers coming together, and they are going to collaborate. Even though they compete, they're going to collaborate, and they're going to show you how to grow your business. That's the 2 photographers that you see in that picture. And they're literally coming together as competitors, and they're going to talk about how to grow your business through photography. Then in June, one of our most requested sessions is Pure Confidence, and it's a framework that we use to help yourself overcome fear of failure. So you can come to that as well, and you can check out all of the events on the page. Again, they're all free to members and non-members as a way of you getting to know us. Just as a quick introduction, Terry Maxwell here. I started a purposeful portfolio of companies about 12, 13 years ago. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, but I love the person that I became in the process. And that's a big part of where some of these mindset topics are going to come from. I have what we call the business cultivator, where we actually create companies, and then the speculator invests in concepts outside of the portfolio. It was really in the cultivator that I developed what's now known as the Conscious Business Growth Platform. It's the basis of what ShiftCo is. And it's how we help our members grow. And it's why so many of our members love ShiftCo, is really because they move through these different phases. And I've launched 5 companies using that methodology, with ShiftCo being the 5th. And have also invested in concepts and used that methodology. And I've been consulting on this methodology for quite some time, so it works really well. What we're going to cover today is mindset and entrepreneurship, the way you probably are thinking about it. And then we're going to shift, and we're going to talk about how conscious entrepreneurship and mindset evolution really come together. And then we're going to bring one of our first experts together. He's in across the pond and then some. He's truly one of my favorite entrepreneurs, and he's going to talk about how to use your mindset as an asset. And then we're going to get into this really important area and really talk about the parts of ourselves that we're not using that we could leverage to really reach higher levels in our business. And we're going to have a 1-2 punch up there. Lisa and I are going to collaborate. She's got an amazing methodology, and we're going to talk about how do you both become, impenetrable by your own evolution, but really think through the process of accessing these other parts that we're not fully utilizing. And then we're going to sum all that together with the conscious entrepreneur's mindset, and that conscious evolution is really entrepreneurial if you think about it. And then if we have time, we'll talk about one of my favorite topics, which is authentic business growth strategy. So that's going to be the lineup for today. I want to put this into context. This was a study from Funders and Founders about 4 or 5 years ago. And at the time, there were 400 million estimated entrepreneurs. The estimates now from Global Entrepreneurship is that there's 582, and it represents about 12% of the population. In the US, where I live, entrepreneurs are only about 5 to 6%. So most of the other countries in the world are more entrepreneurial than the US. Most people don't realize that. They think that, and the US, I think because of the way our culture is, we think that everything was created here. But most of the world is more entrepreneurial than the US. So about 12% of the population, and most of the folks that are entrepreneurs don't realize that there is this thing of conscious entrepreneurship. I'd say B Corp and conscious capitalism produce different numbers as they produce some of their research, and the numbers are somewhere between 10 to 15% of all entrepreneurs are conscious. All that means is you want to both make the world better, and make money, and that you're evolving in the process. So as you put that into perspective, the biggest insight that I've learned in this conscious, purposeful business journey that was very painful to learn, quite honestly, is that your business grows as you evolve. Now, before I accidentally became a conscious entrepreneur, I was known for growing companies. I was hired by a company that we took public and literally doubled and tripled sales year after year. And then another company. And then I started a consulting company and I grew it to about 7 million in sales in 3 years. And I was known for growing companies the old fashioned way, market, 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 sell, sell, sell. And I sold that business in 2008 because my soul was dying. So I thought, well, I'll just start a business that makes the world better and it'll be really easy. Unfortunately, most of the things that I knew how to do didn't work when I was trying to make the world better. And the hard reality, which is really what the essence of today is that your business grows as you evolve. When you're a conscious entrepreneur, you can't fake it till you make it. You can't be authentic. Your business really grows as you evolve. And this premise is really what today's session is about. Now, one more thing that I want to say before I bring up one of our experts, this is also was a hard lesson learned, is it's not like, one and done. I studied under Tony Robbins in my 20s, and it was decide, plan, act, adjust. It was real simple. Boom, boom, boom. That doesn't really work. And there are these phases of mindset evolution. And the consciousness aspect of it is really important. So over time, we all start our business and we take the leap. We just jump in, and some of us plan and plan and plan and set money aside. And some of us, like I did, they just jump. And then we realize just how woefully unprepared we are, no matter how prepared we are. And then you get into this very difficult second stage. And it's the second stage where most entrepreneurs are and where most entrepreneurs struggle. And that is really beginning to separate from your thoughts and feelings, that they are not you. And you have to, the separation really begins where you start observing your self-talk. You start observing the fact that you freak out, when you get a nasty gram email. And you get off this roller coaster of when my business is up, I'm up. When my business is down, I'm down. And this middle stage is really what separates the great conscious entrepreneurs from the ones that struggle, is the ability to really consciously evolve your awareness, to learn breathing techniques, to learn how to calm yourself down, how to not react, how not to get really, really, really busy when you're scared, which is what a lot of us do. Which is, if I work really harder and I get on the hamster wheel and I push, 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 then it'll be easier and I can break through this, because that's what we were taught. Tony Robbins taught me, decide, plan, act, adjust. And if that doesn't work, get into massive action. Well, as a conscious entrepreneur, none of that works. Massive action will destroy a good conscious business. And how do I know that? I did it. I think I've lost more money in the last 12 years than I care to admit, 3 times, because of the lack of fully grasping the awareness. And I kept thinking, if I work harder, work faster, throw more money at this problem, throw more resources at this problem, do more research, that'll somehow cause me to have this breakthrough. And it's the exact opposite, that our business grows as we evolve. And one of the most important things we have to evolve is our awareness. And then you get into the third phase, where as we evolve, we really start to develop a very different mindset. And I know when I went through this stage, I literally went through this in 2017, 2018, and 2019. My DNA changed, like I could feel it. And it was the most amazing experience of my life to begin to have that separation and to really see the benefit of the struggle. The benefit of the struggle is a really important piece of this equation. And I think somebody that has an insight in this and is truly a master teacher in the area of entrepreneurship and leadership. He's truly an amazing, amazing leader. He leads a company called Level 7 Leadership. which he co-founded with his wife. Jonathan Miller, why don't you talk, Jonathan, a little bit about mindset? You're one of those folks, your generation amazes me because you get to these insights much quicker than I did. It took me a long time. You got there very, very quick because you're a young, spry man. And how is it that you were able to have your own breakthroughs? And then tell us a little bit about mindset as an asset.
How is it that I was able to have my own breakthroughs? That's a pretty big question. You're just throwing me a little curveball here, but I'm going to keep the answer simple here. Is just I made a lot of mistakes really quickly, but I had a supportive environment that created the space for me to get really, really, really uncomfortable, and realize that I would be okay at the other side. And I learned that really early, which was very beneficial for me.
And so when you
sorry,
said, and I will always throw you a curveball, Jonathan, when you said you learned that early, how did you recognize it? Because I think that's one of the things that I love about you is that you recognized it.
I don't know. But I think that as I hang out in ShiftCo and as I stay in the conversation around, I was going to talk a little bit about myself, my background. Where I work is primarily in the startup space with a lot of early stage companies, both in tech, but also with social impact. And I can just see the same narratives happening again and again. And I think it's kind of when you're in that space, you start to recognize it pretty quickly that everyone's dealing with the same things. Although we all think we have very, very unique special problems, I think it's all like kind of the same buckets. And it really does start with this mindset piece, which is why I'm really glad we're here today. And Terry, I think that the quote that you put on also was very striking. Your business evolves as you do. And I think that's so on point because I truly believe, and this is where a lot of my work centers around, is that entrepreneurship is an inside job. It really starts there. And that's why we're going to talk about mindset today. And yeah, Terry, if you can flip to that next slide here. Let's really talk about what is a mindset actually, like what actually it is. It's like this word that we all talk about, we all kind of know what it is, but like what actually is a mindset and why it's important. And again, I think we are all in agreement here that part of being an incredible leader within your business and in your life is really going to have that bulletproof mindset. That mindset is really critical to not just our success in our. So what is a mindset? Well, one way I like to think about it is a mindset is what you set your mind to. It's pretty straightforward, right? It's just the collection of thoughts that you have and that ultimately dictate what attitude you bring into life. That's essentially what a mindset is. Okay, so it's just a collection of thoughts. And why that's important? Well, a mindset is like the foundation to the building that you are constructing. And if you can imagine that your business is like you building some sort of, constructing some sort of building. I'm using building and constructing. They're very confusing words. Like you're constructing a building of some sort. You would not build your house on a foundation of sand. That's folly. Your house is probably going to fall. And that foundation, that's your mindset. And Terry, it's very interesting that you asked that question. Like, how did I recognize it? I think also I reflect on it now is just through experiences that you recognize that even with these setbacks that I'm going to give some examples in a bit. And even one that I had quite a setback today that I'll share with everyone. Having those moments and being able to continue forward anyway and minimizing that breakdown. We all have breakdowns, but minimizing it, that's what I think is like so juicy. So I want to dive into this a little bit more because if we go to the next slide here, I want to actually get us talking about a practice because when Terry and I were first talking about mindset, I wanted to get just right into it. We can talk about mindset, but the great way to do this is to actually start to practice really creating that bulletproof mindset that's going to help you thrive in your business. So I have this model. It's called See It, Own It, Flip It. 3 steps super easy, okay? First you see it, then you own it, and then you flip it. So how this looks, this is a very cognitive exercise, although for those of you who feel comfortable, I definitely recommend getting more body aware as well. It's a great way to make change in terms of our behavior. So first thing you want to do is you want to see it. You want to bring awareness to the thought. And actually, more specifically, we're going to be talking a lot about beliefs. Beliefs are really what kind of dictate how it is that we operate in life. We all have this set of beliefs. Some of them serve us, some of them don't. And beliefs are just crystallized thoughts. They're just thoughts that we have a lot. And so what you want to do is, in a moment where something is happening, you want to see that thought or see that belief come up. It could sound like, oh man, my business is never going to succeed, or oh, I'm a failure, or oh man, like this is so hard, or whatever. It could be like really anything. And all of those are totally fine and totally normal. And those are the same kind of thoughts that I have from time to time. Okay, so but first thing you're going to do is you're just going to notice it. You're going to start to become aware of that thought happening and what those words are. Then the next piece is that you're going to own it. This is super, super important, because unless you're going to own it, you're not really going to be able to do anything. This is like this famous Jungian quote: "What you resist persists." And that's why we really want to start to own those thoughts, to own those feelings. It's totally okay to feel your feelings. There's nothing else to do with them. So just own it. And then finally, you're going to flip it. And that's where you're really going to be at choice and choosing a new thought, a new belief that you want to replace the see it part. Okay, so I'll give you an example. This just perfect example. This literally happened today. So I'm working on this research project, and I got a piece of news that I would call unfavorable, just like I wasn't super excited about. And it was kind of like, yeah, it really like took me back, and I saw the stream of thoughts happening. Like, oh man, this is gonna be so hard, da da da. Now this is a real setback. And I sat there with my partner, my wife, and we just kind of allowed ourselves to just be in it. And it was like literally silence, and just allowing ourselves to absorb it and feel the feelings. And I even remember saying, I said, you know, I'm really disappointed. I'm pretty sad about this. And just owning it, that's how I was feeling at the moment, you know? And then as I allowed myself, it wasn't an instant kind of thing in this case, but I think within like 5 or 10 minutes, I did feel like a shift in my body where I could kind of start seeing some new openings, some new opportunities flowing out of this, which there was an opportunity out of it that we identified, which was really great. And I'm not going to explain the details. It's very complicated. But anyway, the point is that you get this see it, own it, flip it as a way to change your thought patterns. Okay. So Terry, can you flip the slide? We have a few more beliefs here, that just some beliefs that maybe you want to flip into that might serve you. So these are just random ones that I put in. Anything can happen at any time. I don't know, this belief has come up for me lately. One of my meditation teachers, I heard a little talk that they gave, and I'm like, yeah, anything can happen at any time. Why am I ruminating all the time? Anything can happen at any time. Who knows? Or it always takes longer than you think. My mentor here, Terry, I know that she's the one who told me that. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It's just always going to take longer than you think. And for me, that reminds me to have patience. That's often what I need to hear. Or with every breakdown, there's a breakthrough on the other side. It's a very encouraging thing. So I'm actually just going to invite everyone to hop into the chat box if you can, and if you'd like, to just maybe write in a belief that you would like to really live into now. That lately there's been this other belief that's kind of running the show, but you would like to replace it with this belief right here. What belief would you like to replace it? Why don't everyone pop into the chat? What's a really empowering belief for you that you really want to start taking on? Life is easy. Heck yeah. Fully confident, nice. Skip just 10 more seconds if anyone else wants to come up with a belief that really empowers them. Everything is working out for me. Absolutely. I believe that growing my business is easy. Absolutely. These are great. And so I'm going to encourage you to take on this practice. See it. You're going to see the thought pattern. You're going to own it. My business is easy and fun to grow. Absolutely. You're going to own it, and then you're going to flip it, and you're going to say this new belief that you really need to hear. And I'm going to encourage you to keep doing it. Keep doing it again and again and again. Because again, a belief is just a crystallized thought. If you have the thought enough times, it becomes a belief. And whether you do that through journaling, affirmation practices, or just day to day, I have an hourly chime that goes off where I practice this kind of thing. It's going to make a huge difference. That's it for me, Terry. Off to you.
Oh, that was amazing. That was perfect. That's exactly what we needed to hear. And thank you so much, Jonathan, for simplifying it. I'm going to use the see it, own it, flip it, and put your name next to it. That's brilliant. And I want to build on that and talk about this idea of an impenetrable mindset. So what that means is you get into that rhythm of see it, own it, flip it. That's really all it means. It doesn't mean you're not affected. You can get bad news about this and bad news about that. But the key is how does it make you feel? Does it cause you to spin? And how quickly can you see it? How quickly can you own it? And how quickly can you flip it? This little tool showed up about this time I was having this big breakthrough that I talked about in 2017 and 2018, where my DNA started shifting. And I don't know who created it. I always try to give the original author credit, but I've never been able to track this person down. But this is really the process that that we're talking about, Jonathan's piece, but also tied to Stephen at the end, this idea of getting out of your comfort zone. Because here's what's happened. It's like something occurs. We're over here. Everything is great. We think our business is going wonderful. And we get a nastygram email. And what it does is it triggers all of this emotion, right? That fear starts cycling, and that's when those thoughts start to occur. And what most people do, which is not what entrepreneurs tend to do for very long, is most people just retreat back to the comfort zone. Well, it's really hard to do that when you're an entrepreneur, because at the end of the day, the only way you eat and pay your mortgage is if your business grows. So you got to pick yourself up and dust yourself off. But it's not easy to move through that middle zone. And what I love about Jonathan's model of see it, own it, flip it, is it's an easier way to get through this sticky area. It's this fear zone that really trips us up. But the beautiful thing is when you see it, own it, flip it, there's a new insight on the other side of that. And that's when you go into the learning zone, where you're like, oh, now I realize this about myself. I was doing this incorrectly. Or now I realize I was trying to, my favorite one, I was trying to force this thing to happen when I should have just worked with the universe to co-create it. And you get into the learning zone, and these insights start happening. And then you can move into the growth zone, where you really take that giant step forward. And it's in the growth zone where you evolve and your business starts to grow. So your business grows as you evolve. And it's going through this process, and why I love Jonathan's method so much of see it, own it, flip it. It's going through this process that allows us to move out of the fear zone and into the learning zone. And that's where the power is. Okay. So with that, I want to segue to our next speaker. And this idea of the other insight that I got is you really have to slow down your mind to speed up your success. And there's a whole realm of possibilities in our mind and through metacognition that we're not even using, because our mind is, we're freaking out and, oh my God, am I going to do about this? And if you don't slow down your mind, you can't really speed up your success. And I recently met this amazing lady who's got this amazing company, and I recognized the methodology right away. Her company is Vista Caballo. Hopefully I said that properly, Lisa. I've been practicing. And we're just kindred spirits. And the more I dug into her methodology, the more I just fell in love with it. So Lisa, I know you have done your own work on your own mindset. So tell us a little bit about you, and then tell us about this methodology and how we can use it as an essential toolkit to elevate our mindset and our success.
Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. And yeah, Terry, I've been my first client, and I just I just loved that chart that showed, you know, the comfort zone and then the growth zone. And I'd say that really has been the journey that I've been on. And it did take me about, oh gosh, I don't know, umpteen years, a decade, and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I, through my own learning, not unlike what Jonathan said, it's, you know, came up with a really sort of simple realization of, okay, so if we all want to be in the comfort zone, because that's where our mind, our brains actually, you know, our brains are these amazing organs that are wired to keep us safe. So now what? So we were these entrepreneurs with these amazing missions to bring to life and help make our world better. And our brains are saying, okay, so, but if we could just do that in the safe zone, that would be great. And it's like a dichotomy, it just doesn't work. So yeah, through my own experience, which is a much longer story, I found a way to have that conversation with our brain, which I would love to share today. So let's just say that let's go with the premise of you have a mission to fulfill, right? And you were born to fulfill this mission. And per that chart that we just saw, you're ready to live your dream. So here's what you need to know so you can. Your thinking determines your results. Here's the catch. Most of your thinking is subconscious. However, you can bring it to a conscious state and transform yourself, your company, your results, your life. So here's how you do it. When you come to the edge of your comfort zone, you have two options. Repeat what you've already done or do something new. Now, the higher the stakes, the more tempting it is to stay in your comfort zone. That's the wiring. And you will negotiate furiously with yourself to do so. But you did not come here to repeat what has already been done. You came here to create something that has never been seen or experienced before. The brain has two filters. That's all, two. Safe or not safe. And you pull every decision you make through those two filters, including whether to leave the comfort zone or not. Your experience and your education inform those filters and become part of your decision-making process. So, although we think the entrepreneurial challenge of bringing something new to life is outside us, the real challenge is in going up against our own internal wiring. So how do we step out of what we've been trained to think so we can see new perspectives? How can we respond at our edge rather than react? Reacting, which is that automatic thinking. How do we instead connect to and develop that natural instinct to grow, where our natural growth process becomes not only an exciting adventure, instead of something that terrifies us, but something that we can take charge of and lead. On your entrepreneurial journey, you will face your edge every single time there is an opportunity for growth. That's really, 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 really important for you to know. Every single time you're at that edge, that growth point, you will have decisions to make, right? And that's going to start with, do I stay in the comfort zone or not? Well, what I'm about to share here can completely transform that journey because it illuminates your foundational decision-making process. At every growth point, you can stop or you can flow right into it. So which would you prefer? This is the thing for me is, as an entrepreneur, it was like I would grow and then I'd have to stop and I'd have to figure it out. And then I'd grow some more and then I'd have to stop and figure it out. And I was like, can we just not do that? Can we just sort of stay in the flow? This is how you stay in the flow. So the edge can actually feel like the edge of a chasm, right? Until you know how to lead your thinking forward. Then the edge becomes a springboard. So how you make decisions at your edge is a mindset. You just set your mind to it. You have the ability and opportunity to create multiple solutions to a single problem at the drop of a hat. That's called innovation. You have the ability to change your perspective and expand your thinking so you can see around corners. You have the ability to close the gap from uncertainty to certainty. And when you develop those abilities, you become unstoppable, AKA flow. Great. So developing the mindset to challenge your thinking is the foundational practice that I'm talking about. Developing the mindset to challenge your thinking so that you can use your edge as a springboard. And when you do, you can experience consistent, steady growth from a place of confidence. So there's practical skills and tactics that you're going to need. Terry will teach you a lot of those. But developing the foundational thinking that drives and impacts all of those skills and tactics, that's your game changer. That's what we're talking about. And this can save you hours, weeks, months, years of anguish and struggle. And I know, because I had all of those years of anguish and struggle, which is why I created this, so that you don't have to. Because what you're really struggling with are your own internal mental constructs. I love the saying by Viktor Frankl. He said, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So by being aware of, by challenging, by changing your thinking, by developing that as a mindset, that is the way to extraordinary success. Who you are at your edge is what will set you apart as a leader and a human being. And it's what determines your level of success and your ability to fulfill your mission. So you can see these 5 thinking styles on the right. And you use these thinking styles every day, but you use them in a different way when you're outside of your comfort zone. So how they interact with each other determines your perspective, which then determines your results. And right now, this is an automatic subconscious reaction that you're having. You can make it a conscious response. So just quickly, take a look at those thinking styles, and you can put in the chat, which one of these thinking styles do you think you lead with when you're out of your comfort zone? Which one do you lead with when you're outside of your comfort zone? And you may have to guess at it. That's okay. Okay. Which one do you think that if you led with it instead would change your perspective so that the answer that you needed to solve that challenge that was just outside of your grasp was right in front of you? Which one would you need to lead with instead to change your perspective? Interesting, right? So when you get to the point, and I call it the still point, where you can hardly wait to challenge your thinking. This is where we want to get you, where you wake up every day and you want to challenge your thinking, because you know it is the way to keep your creation and your people alive and growing and thriving. You will transform yourself, your business, and your life. And this is what we call the essential entrepreneurial mindset. Your thinking determines your results. Most of your thinking is subconscious. You can bring it to a conscious state and transform your approach to the edge, and in doing so, transform your results and your impact. So imagine having the confidence in knowing how to harness and direct the power of your thinking to solve any challenge at any time. Imagine being outside of your comfort zone and feeling completely confident in your decision making. Imagine feeling unstoppable. What impact could that power have on your mission as you bring it to life?
Wow, Lisa, let me ask a couple of clarifying questions because I'm understanding this even at a deeper level. The beauty in this is that none of these are quote unquote right or wrong. It's really which one is going to stretch you so that when you're on the edge of that precipice, it becomes a springboard, and not doing, where you retreat back to the comfort zone. Is that a different way of saying what you're saying?
Absolutely, because it's going to change. Your thinking's going to change. So ultimately, you're going to use all of these. Look at each one of those. Is there one that you would not make a decision through? So that's ultimately where you want to go. But to really open up your perspective, you do want to stretch yourself. You want to be thinking in a different way. That's what will automatically open up your perspective.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And, as I mentioned, this particular webinar, just the pieces came together so well and they all flowed so nicely together. One more question for you, Lisa. The circles seem to matter in the equation. Tell me a little bit about that. Is it that this continuous flow of moving through these, or is it reaching for the mindset and the perspective that you need at this given point and challenging yourself? How does that play out?
Say that to me in a different way.
Yeah, so the circle aspect of this, is that the flow, or is that they're all equal, or is that you're going to reach for different tools at different times as part of the flow? Kind of tell me a little bit about what the still point means, being still, I believe. So where you point your mindset, is that the way that you see that?
They're all equal.
Okay.
Right. And that's where we're trying to get to. Is right now they're not. Chances are they're not. Chances are you are using one over the other. And that you probably came from a point of self-preservation, right? And how the brain works is we find something that works and then we keep doing it over and over and over. And then it becomes habit, then it becomes automatic. But here we are bringing these new creations to life. So everything needs to be new. And especially our perspective needs to be new. So that's where, one may be leading now, but we want to challenge ourselves to use each one of these in that moment. So right now, because I've been in it myself for a long time, so the still point is being able to stand right there on your edge and not freak out and not feel afraid, but to stand there and go, cool. Bring it on. And then to use these different thinking styles and say, so what new reality do I really want to bring to life? That's vision. Let me put my agenda down and actually just see what's here. What better questions can I be asking? That's curiosity. Let me challenge my biases and assumptions. And through that, see my blind spots. That's self-inquiry. What am I distracting myself from? Usually an uncomfortable emotion. That's your persistence. And am I listening to myself as much as I'm listening to other people? That's receptivity. Now you use all of those in a decision-making moment when you're outside your comfort zone, and you will make a dramatically different decision.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're so welcome. You will be able to stay grounded and calm so that you have more oxygen going to your brain. You'll be thinking better.
I love that. And hopefully folks took a screenshot of that, as well as the Jonathan's, you know, with the own it and flip it. I love that. All right, we're going to go to the last piece, and that is really is bringing this together, and it's really about the conscious entrepreneurial mindset. You know, conscious entrepreneurs really do lead with their values, whereas a regular entrepreneur says, will someone buy my product? A conscious entrepreneur is first focused on, will it solve a problem? Related to pricing, most conscious entrepreneurs really struggle with pricing because they're asking themselves, how much is it worth? And it brings up self-worth issues, which we have to tackle. And then on the success side, this is the reason why, you know, my whole life in every aspect is working with conscious entrepreneurs and conscious leaders, is we're much more focused on, can I make a difference and make money? But we really are driven by making a difference. It doesn't always feel good when you're doing it. And that's why it's important to understand that your business grows as you evolve. So if your business isn't where you want it to be, go inside, use one of those technologies, see it, own it, flip it, use the different perspectives that Lisa talked about, use that even wider perspective of going into the meta and realizing that it's part of the journey and you were destined for these challenges to prepare you for something even bigger and something better. So I want to thank Jonathan and Lisa and Stephen so much. I want to thank all of you for joining us. If there's ever anything that we can do to support you, whether you're a member of SHIFCO or not, please contact us. And again, just focus on your own evolution, because conscious business is, or conscious evolution is entrepreneurial. Thanks.